All right, let's go to Camping World Stadium for the Pop-Tarts Bowl between Iowa State and Miami.
This is gonna be a
Miami, a
banger.
3.5 point favorite here in Orlando. I think we already talked about a bowl in Orlando. You got to go to Stagger Inn, our
Yep.
sister bar in Orlando. And then there's actually a decent, if you haven't gone to Epcot, drank around the world, make sure you do that. There's a decent Vietnamese uh, group of restaurants in Orlando, but go to Kaya. Kaya, Filipino restaurant. It's amazing. That's where you need to eat if you go to Orlando. All right, Iowa State, Miami. Miami 3.5 point favorite here. Restrepo, he is so important. I think he's going to be one of the better slot receivers in the NFL. I think he might opt out, but don't know. I think that the signal is there when you say, I'm not sure discussions are ongoing. There's also a risk that that Cam Ward maybe doesn't run as much. Maybe he doesn't play the entire game. Not sure. But I've listened, as I mentioned, I've listened to everything Iowa State says. I think they really care. You do not know me, and you have not been listening to this podcast long enough if you think I'm not fading Miami here. If you think I'm not fading Mario, who has been horrendous in bowls. And do you know why? It makes sense. What is he doing right now?
Roster construction.
Recruiting.
Yeah.
Do you think he's preparing for Iowa State? Absolutely not. Matt Campbell, that team, they're actually preparing for this game. Those seniors care. Miami, whose defense is horrendous, they'll have no plan coming into this game. It's Mario. You think I'm not taking 3.5 in this game? You are crazy. Give me the Cyclones. What do you see?
I see the over here. I'm surprised by the number of players that are playing in this game. Damian Martinez and Cam Ward. That is there are two big pieces on the board for Miami here. And you know what? I don't like either of these coaches. 3-7 against the spread for Matt Campbell and Bulls. Mario Cristobal 2-5-1 against the spread per our Action Labs tool. Shout out PJ again. Listen, Iowa State's D is losing a number of starter and depth pieces at the defensive end of that 3-3-5 stack. They were 120th in pass rush. What's the key to beating Cam Ward? Right? Get him crowded. And that's just not going to happen here. Iowa State's 72nd in havoc. Iowa State's built to defend the pass. They're not really built to hold Cam Ward in the pocket, and they're not going to be able to because they got their top players. They're not going to be there at the defensive end position. Damian Martinez, 4 yards after first contact, 34 missed tackles forced. Did we just not see Arizona State average 8 yards per play against this Iowa State defense? So I expect continuity with Damian Martinez and Cam Ward. Iowa State on the other side, there's advantages. Rocco Beck, he's not at the
It's
same level.
Miami. You don't even have to say there's advantages. It's Miami's defense.
It
Anyone can
is.
score.
I mean, it's Higgins, it's Noel. Benjamin Brahmer somehow didn't get a target in the Big 12 championship game. I don't know, understand why your 6'7" tight end may not be fully healthy yet, but this was supposed to be a freight train for Iowa State. We'll check in with Campbell at media days next year if I'm allowed to go. Miami's defense, 22nd in line yards with similar strength of schedule as Iowa State. So I don't know if Carson Hansen and Abu Sama mean anything here, but I do think Higgins and Noel are big for Rocco Becht. I took the over. I projected it at 64. I think it's got room to run. Um, the Iowa, yeah,
Their starting safety for Iowa State is out. Bacon
yes,
will not be back. Brazina should be. So, and then you mentioned some of the portal guys for Iowa State, the
yeah.
defensive end. So Iowa State's defense won't be at full strength for
I
what's
don't
left.
see any resistance. Do you see resistance here? Do you see any defensive resistance on either side? I don't.
No,
And
but
and what? We're gonna fry three Pop-Tarts after this shit. This is gonna be the greatest bowl ever.
I see a careless Miami team turning the ball over a couple times,
Yep.
and that's the difference. I think Iowa State
Yep.
wins. It's bowl prep. Mario is not preparing for this game. Like we heard Kansas State's coach come out and say he's 70% of his time
Uh-huh.
spent between the end of the season and the bowl game is on building the roster for next year, 30% on preparing for Rutgers. What do you think it's Miami? It's 99.99999% on building the roster, and maybe we'll throw on an Iowa State play on YouTube and show it to the team. That's it.
I've
All right.
got so much Arkansas info. The problem is we've already podcasted about it. It's more than 70% roster construction at Arkansas. It's maybe 1% bowl plans.
Well, we can. What day is that game? Is that on?
Liberty Bowl's tomorrow, 27th.
If you're listening to this, and Mitchell, you want to keep this in. I
If
still like
Taj,
Texas Tech.
yeah, if Taj Brooks is playing, go.